When you think about diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, um, what it really means is being fair, right? Everyone can agree that fairness is appropriate and helpful for all to have.
I'm Rachel Pearsall. I'm the online learning manager with the National Alliance to End Homelessness, and I'm here today with two of my colleagues, Mary Frances Kenion, who is the Vice President of Training and Technical Assistance, and Josh Johnson, who is a Senior Technical Assistance Specialist. Mary Frances and Josh recently wrote a blog post entitled The Road Ahead, Anti-DEIA Executive Orders and Ongoing Risks. And we'll link that blog post in the description below. Today, they're going to expand on some of the ideas and give us a little bit more context. So thank you both so much for taking the time. So let's back up a second. We hear the acronym DEI a lot. I've also heard DEIA. Sometimes it's in a different order, IDEA. What does it all really mean?
DEI movement has evolved, right? Starting with really more focused on just diversity and inclusion to diversity, equity, and inclusion to really encompassing justice and accessibility and belonging. Ultimately, our goal is to create a fair and equitable society where everyone has an opportunity to be their authentic selves and shape a new and better normal moving forward.
Somewhere along the way, the spirit and intent of what actions one should take have gotten lost. And we have come to know it as just an acronym instead of a specific set of actions that can be taken for a number of different groups that have been systematically or intentionally excluded from many areas of life, including economic, social, political, representation, just a range of areas where folks haven't had the same access. And when you think about diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, what it really means is being fair, right? Everyone can agree that fairness is appropriate and helpful for all to have. Accessibility, when we think about the disability community, there are some people that need a little bit different or a little bit more so that they can have the same access as other folks. Inclusion, a sense of belonging. That's what we're really talking about when we are saying diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility.
So who benefits from DEIA initiatives? Why are they good?
So ultimately, everyone benefits from diversity, equity, inclusion, because if we all have access to shape the direction the way some stuff goes, because we all have different vantage points, we all have different life experiences. If we bring all that richness into, say, developing policy, it will make sure that everyone's needs are met when that policy is developed, ensuring that nobody is left behind because everybody has a voice.
There's a pretty popular example of this known as the curb cut. And when you think about accessibility, a curb cut, primarily benefits wheelchair users or people with physical disabilities, but it also benefits runners. It benefits parents that are pushing their kid in a stroller. So, even though something was designed with intention and centered around accessibility, there are a multitude of benefits, and that's just one kind of well-known example of many.
A lot of times, as we talk about just creating this slogan of DEI, it makes it easy to be demonized. But what it really is are we doing the things that we're supposed to be doing for everyone, right? And I think if we leave it as simple as that, it makes it a lot harder to vilify, because if you honestly talk about what it is, I don't believe anybody could be against it.
You're getting into another thing we were going to talk about anyway, which is, some people say that DEI is propaganda or that it's all woke, and that woke is bad. What would you say to that? Either of you? What would your response be?
We don't want to be asleep on the job, right? But the opposite of woke is being asleep or being blind to the realities that people throughout this country face every day. We can't erase people's experience. We can't erase the history of our country, which is from a systemic standpoint and to a degree an institutional standpoint, allowed other folks to get ahead at the expense of other groups. So I just want to pull on that thread that Josh was starting to expound on. When we talk about DEIA, what we are talking about is just a general awareness of laws that are already on the books and that were put on the books because they were needed. So like the Fair Housing Act, that is, I talk about this and Josh talks about this in the blog. That's prohibiting discriminatory housing practices. Of which we know that, for certain groups of people based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, familial status, have historically been discriminated against in housing. And guess what? When that happens, someone's losing their access. When you are thinking about the Americans with Disabilities Act, that is a standing law. DEIA efforts are really complementary to laws that already exist and protections that are afforded to people who've historically not had those protections. So, I'm almost inclined to say that, the DEIA language is kind of, it has a negative connotation and it's misunderstood right now. It's become polarized, even though I don't think it should be. But when you talk about fairness, right? When you talk about accountability, when you talk about transparency, when you are talking about access, including people, having proper or, equal representation, those things are not controversial. And in fact, I would think that most people would agree that that is a strong approach of a way to collaborate and engage and try to solve homelessness together.